call this meeting to order. Let's close notice of this meeting is published by having the date, time, and place thereof. Mailed and electronic daily record, posted on the Lake Hopatcong Commission website. Join me in the salute to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Here. Fish.
Here.
Jarvis. McCarthy.
Here.
Ozdowski.
Here.
Cross. DeVos. Steinbaum.
Here.
Stevens.
Here.
Tessier. Senator.
Here.
Susan.
Here.
Pascal. Navarro.
Here.
Smith.
Here. We don't have any need for executive session this time. Make a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Any discussion, additions, deletions to the minutes? Would you call roll?
Crowley.
I don't think I was here, though. Okay.
Fish.
Yes.
McCarthy.
Abstain.
Ozdowski.
Abstain.
Steinbaum.
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes.
Senator.
Yes.
Susan.
Abstain.
Navarro.
Yes.
And Smith.
Yes. We have the treasurer's report and bill list.
We haven't received the statements, we didn't get the statements yet for November. We have 7 bills outstanding, totaling $7,417.09. I can run through them if you'd like. We have $91.55 for Optimum, $98.10 and $977.76 for Princeton Hydro, and one more for Princeton Hydro, $735.68. PLC Consulting, and 2 membership fees, one for web hosting and one for lake management, $144 for one, and for the other. And that's it.
Any questions? Motion to approve the treasurer's report and the bill.
So moved. Second.
Comment or question? Call roll.
Crowley.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
McCarthy.
Yes.
Ozdowski.
Yes.
Steinbaum.
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes.
Navarro.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. Do you have any correspondence?
We do. We have, so I sent out 2 emails. One was from John Kurzman. It was about glyphosate, its impact on the lake in terms of adding nutrients, phosphorus to the lake. So everyone should have been able to review that. And then another one from Richard Romano. He's from Indian Lake in Denver. He has spoken with Melissa Castellon about the reharvesting program and whether or not the commission had ever considered weed harvesting on other lakes.
Or sewer or like this whole other thing.
And then any lakes
Can I
out.
just make a comment? His suggestion was that he would pay us
Yes.
when he
Yeah.
used the machinery.
Right now, we're not running it, so we have to wait. We have to see.
But it's impossible. I think we should respond that it can't be done because the time involved with moving one of these machines makes it totally impractical to move for
One or twice a year, right?
We just wanted it for one day at a time in a month, and over the summer months. And it just won't work. I mean, there's no sense in leaving him on.
Yeah, I mean, that and even in.
According to our current circumstances and time schedule, it's not possible at this time. Any other correspondence?
Yes, I'm going to do a 2-step on this one. Well, since we last met, we entertained the governor in this room. which was part of the advocacy mission that we outlined previously, which is basically bring anybody of authority in the state of New Jersey here to see our conditions and to listen to us. At the governor's meeting, we had 3 congressional representatives, as well as a good portion of the local state senatorial and assembly panel for mayors, most importantly. And I see that Mayor Francis is here tonight, and thank him for all this. As part of that, the governor did present about $13 million of money that will be available to all lakes in the state. That prompted a number of questions immediately, because one of the things we've been asked to submit earlier in the fall that we worked very closely with the commission and with the 4 mayors on was demonstrations that could be run in the lake in the spring for various projects. We have submitted a number of demonstration projects in all 4 of the communities, actually, totaling about $489,000. We had some immediate questions on where this fits into the whole process and how it will be handled. Actually, DEP is sending a delegation down next week to meet with the 4 mayors, like the Hopatcong Commission chairman, and us to discuss it further. So I guess more to follow on that. We'd like to hear that there's some promising information coming out of that. That's moving forward. We also have an EPA grant that we'll be filing for actually tomorrow. It's a federal EPA grant for up to $6 million with up to 6 $1 million grants being made, the subject of which is HAPS research. It was originally set up really for the Great Lakes and for Florida, up until this year were the main affected areas for HAPS. But they have now expanded it specifically to include our region, since we were so impacted this past summer. So we have a team effort with Princeton Hydro, New Jersey Institute of Technology, the Hopatcong Commission, and ourselves to submit a grant really to do various types of HAPS research, which would take it well beyond the demonstration projects that we've discussed so far. And we feel any types of technologies we can prove out on Lake Hopatcong can only be effective, not only for us, but for the entire region. And one of the issues is, and we've discussed this a lot, is we know that long term we have a lot of things we can do both in stormwater and conversion of septics into sewers here at the lake. But one of the things we fear most is before that could occur, we still get another summer of serious algal blooms. And that's something that concerns all of us. And right now, one of the things we found out this year was there is no DEP approved process, to go to tackle an algal bloom that's on your lake. And one of the things we really want to come out with is an approved DEP process that if an algal bloom occurs, this is what you do. Realizing, it's already occurred, but at least not just sit there waiting for it to disappear. So, Fred Love now and the folks at Princeton Hydro have been going through a lot of technologies, as Mayor and Ron and you can attest to, and yes, a lot of firms have contacted us with different ideas, some of which where they can solve any, harmful algal bloom. But we know we have to prove that the technology will work here, and certainly the idea was to do some of these demo projects in the spring. And they include everything from circulation to aeration to alum to peroxides to sonar, all types of technologies. Some have worked in some places, some not others. So,
A letter of support from our.
We've actually gotten a letter of support for our grant from both senators and 6 members of the congressional delegation have signed off on the letter, including all 3 in this area. And we've also gotten support from our 3 local senators, from you folks, thank you. from the 4 mayors and council. And from, of course, NJIT, who's going to be appointment. So, we have our fingers crossed, but it would be wonderful thing to bring back a grant like this for work on Lake Hopatcong. So, hopeful. Yes, thank you. That's why she has everything. And then, yeah, the other thing is, we've been working on, we had a committee with starting with Greenwood Lake, and with Deal Lake, that will hopefully grow into a really broad public lakes committee for New Jersey for advocacy purposes, because we all know that the Jersey Shore gets a lot of attention and a lot of funding, and the lakes don't get a lot of attention, and as a result, do not get a lot of funding. So we've been meeting with the lakes regularly, and one of the things that came up was the strategy that the EDP followed last year, which is the one that, I'll say suffered through it, with the idea of the signs on the highways that said the lake was closed, the fact that, even the testing that had to occur to open up parts of the lake. Basically, there were just a lot of issues with the strategy. So the 3 lakes, the Lake Hopatcong Commission and the Lake Hopatcong Foundation, have developed a white paper that points out several areas that we think could really be improved. In fact, we just, I think, went final on the draft today, so I will make sure that you have the latest drafts that you can distribute. I want to see them. And it would just make things a whole lot better for the lake. And this paper will hopefully be discussed right after the holidays. It has already actually, or is about to be presented to them right now. As when the governor was here, one of the things he emphasized was we realized we didn't do a good job with communications, and our strategy on the algorithm, and that we're ready to work with the community. So we're going to see serious about that.
Marty, can I? Sure. The meeting you had with the other lakes, is there any way you can send the minutes of that meeting to us as members?
Absolutely.
I'd love to read that and understand what's going on.
Absolutely. And I have to say, a lot of it at this point is organizational, as to like what other lakes would be part of this. What are the right lakes? Who's like, a public lake that gets a lot of recreational use and all. So, that's a big part of it. I'll say the one work product we've been trying to do is, since all of our lakes were so badly impacted by algal blooms, and part of it was an inability of really who to talk to in DEP to try to get some help, and how it was handled with our local beaches. It's amazing how we shared so many of the same problems that we think could easily be corrected and
I'd love to read the minutes.
absolutely.
I think it'd be great to know
I think those meetings as well, it's been really encouraging, and it's kind of nice to, sometimes it's just nice to be able to commiserate.
Well, and it's also, another factor is one of the things we've worried about in the past is like competing with Greenwood Lake for funding or competing with that lake. It's good, this idea of there should be enough money really around it for all the lakes, and the lakes can work together, especially when you have issues like ours, but just in general, so much funding goes down to the Jersey Shore. That literally the amount of money that goes, into publicity for a campaign for Wildwood, what it could do to help all the lakes in the state of New Jersey is significant.
And I think one of the things too is like not just about us, but the ways we can learn from each other. Like I know Greenwood Lake is putting together a dock numbering program modeled after what we have put together here. So they've been in touch with us about how to do that. I'm sure especially as we grow this group, we can all learn from each other. And if somebody has an idea to do something, maybe one of the other lakes has already done enough research for us. And even with going back to the habit situation, we can all learn from the technologies that are used in our various states and communication.
And certainly, we do something that works in Crescent Cove. I don't know Greenwood Lake that well, but who's to say that there, that can't be just transported immediately up to Greenwood Lake to work? And that's certainly, and right now we haven't had that great dialogue for them to even know what we're doing or we to know what they're doing. So I think that'll help also. But certainly, we could use more members, quite honestly, of the legislature that are more listening to the needs of the lakes than we have right now.
That's one advantage by broadening it out to these lakes, then you get that many more districts where you have elected representatives who can come and fight battles for us. I get the non-have updates, which is kind of nice. So this coming weekend and the weekend after, so the 14th and 15th and 21st and 22nd, there will be a model training exhibit here. The open hours are 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. and it's free, and just come and check it out. Great kids, grandkids. It should be fun. I know it's the Sussex County
Railroad Club.
There's some specific group within that club that's going to be putting that on here. So you want to come see that? That's
What's the date?
this weekend, the 14th and 15th, and then the following weekend, the 21st and 22nd, and it's from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And it's just going to be open to volunteers who are going to be managing the building. It's just going to be open. Come and check it out.
And hopefully we'll grow into something bigger in the future. This will be the first time we do it, so we're starting small, but we're very looking forward to having a reason for the community to come here for the holidays.
The other fun thing that we can announce this week is, this is a very long time coming. So you all know about our field trip program. Every spring we have hundreds. This year we had 1,200 kids come through. Our amazing volunteers from that field trip program have been, obviously, they've been fine-tuning the lessons over the years, and now the lessons are kind of put into this book that Dorothy Sabry, she lives in Hopatcong. She's a former literacy teacher, and she had been working on this with the help of Lisa Green, who's local. She's our editor, and then Pat Muller and Matt Cowan, both local artists. Yeah, and they collectively have been working on this book. It took a long time to get everything together, but but it takes all of it's pulled from the perspective of the background. This was in the works long before the algae bloom situation came, but we were really made sure to get it done this year in light of that. And so it kind of talks about the lessons that we bring to the field trips. It kind of takes them and puts them into this book so that you can go home and read it with your family after going to the field trip and everything. We're going to be sending out an email probably tomorrow it's available on Amazon. This is hardcover. We also have soft cover. I think the hardcover is a little bit more expensive, but I think it's a little more robust. So I also, having kids of my own, and expanding number of kids of my own, I know it's a little bit more robust for getting beat up in my house. So, but it's really, and in the back they have, Dorothy and her team worked on how kids can help the lake and how adults can help the lake with, a lot of the stuff that we've talked about all summer about rain gardens and cleaning up after pets and all those kinds of things. So keep an eye out. This will be going out in email. It'll be on our website. It'll be on social media this week. So if you want to memorialize the year of the half of Lake Hopatcong with a Christmas gift for children in your life. It's geared towards 4th and 5th graders because that's the age that we do the field trips for, but it obviously could apply to all ages. And so that'll be, and there'll be more and more about that. I think Dorothy might even try to come here and do a signing that second weekend of the trainings.
Can you buy it here when you have the training?
But we will have some here that you can buy, and if we run it, we're going to put a little thing out and say you might want to order it ahead of time so you know. I don't know, we don't really know what numbers to expect. So we'll have some here you can buy. Once we run out, we'll run out, but they'll be available on Amazon right now, actually. So you just type in Lake Hopatcong Speaks Out, you can get paperback or hardcover. And so that's, we're really excited. It's a long time coming, and it's an important messages that we all understand the importance of even more after this year. And the last thing I just want to say is we just had Giving Tuesday. It was a huge successful day for us. We're very thankful everybody in this room who was a part of contributing, that we really, really appreciate. We focused this year on our safety efforts. After, I know that the environment got a ton of attention this year for obvious reasons, but we also had a very difficult year on the lake with regard to a couple of drownings, and so we felt like that was something that we didn't want that to be overlooked, so we were showcasing and kind of putting a spotlight on that during Giving Tuesday, and it really resonated. We had a great fundraising day, and that money will go towards a number of things that we plan on doing in the year, including some big focused YouTube videos about how to kind of taking those lessons from the Coast Guard course and applying them to Lake Hopatcong and how they work on Lake Hopatcong. Because a lot of times those kind of high-level discussions that you have in that room or that you might have had decades ago, in my case, of when you took that course, maybe have faded, and so it's just a reminder of how to handle some of this stuff. So thank you for everybody who's part of it, and hopefully we'll have some great safety initiatives.
And we're going to really look to work with you folks on getting some of these safety programming going in this spring because of the fact that we did have the 2 rounds on board. We will recognize that we have some safety issues on the list.
Thank you. We talked a lot, sorry. I don't know if anybody has questions at this point.
Last time you were asked.
Is anybody here from Prince of Highland?
No, but Fred did let me know, he's gonna push the water quality, presentation to January. The other thing is that we'll address, the glyphosate concerns at the January meeting. So that was with the, email that was sent by John Person, about glyphosate. So Fred's gonna review that and then just give a brief response on that.
Okay. As previously noted, we did have a meeting here with the governor, 3 Congress persons, 6 or 8 freeholders from both counties, 4 mayors. It's more planning for the future than it is for immediate. So, our concerns, we let them know that our concerns were for the immediate summer. But there's plans and long-term things which the foundation is participating. So, we still have our legislators putting in a bill for Lake Hopatcong by itself. So, we're going to answer them all areas that we're looking for. So, this is the end of the legislative session. We will bill for Easter December 31, so we're hoping that in between the session we can go to push these through and act the government will sign. So, any commissioner comments?
Yes. I promised the chairman I would make a speech, so I won't. I'm just going to make an observation. There is I only have 2 copies. The best article I've seen on what's happening around Lake Hopatcong with global warming was from the Washington Post, which was published in August. And there's a copy of the first page. And the headline is, and you all should read this. You can go online and see it. It's 2 degrees centigrade beyond the limit. Extensive climate change has arrived in America. 2 degrees centigrade is equivalent of 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit. And it alludes to this extensive study that was done. In 2015, the Paris Accord international leaders agreed that the world should act urgently to keep Earth's average temperature increase below the 3.6 degree Fahrenheit mark by the year 2100, that's 80 years from now, to avoid a host of catastrophic changes. They felt that 2 degrees centigrade was the tipping point. Well, it turns out that the Washington Post analysis did a study of more than a century of national oceanic and atmospheric administration temperatures across the lower 48 states. And they analyzed it by counties, 3,107 counties. This was a very extensive study. And they found that the major areas are nearing or have already crossed the 3.6 degree mark already. And And they found that New Jersey is one of the fastest warming states in the nation. Its average temperature has climbed by close to 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit in 1895, and double the average of the lower 48 states. The changes have mostly been in the winters. Winter temperatures in Sussex County have increased by 4.7 degrees Fahrenheit, and Morris County 4.9 degrees Fahrenheit. The point is, warmer temperature, less ice, more frequent heavy rainfall, more runoff into the lake. So the point that I wanted to make is what Marty said. This episode wasn't the one summer analysis. These algae blooms are here to stay. And so we must act. There's so much we have to do, which I won't go into. And actually, I have the average increase in Sussex County was 4.7 degrees Fahrenheit. I guess I may have mentioned that. And Morris County, 4.9 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're in this terrible zone right now, and it's getting worse.
I just have one quick thing. We did last time in Roxbury, estimated right letter in support of just as Marty said, we've been meeting with the four mayors, and I think it's in good conjunction with the commission and the foundation are doing. I think the board, the foundation for the leadership and putting this together. We're all concerned about it. And I think it's been productive. I don't think it's been a long time since I was four mayor and got together on a monthly basis to try to solve some of these issues. And we've been productive. We have some meetings that come with PPP, which hopefully will be fruitful. So we're all working hard on it, trying to come up with some solutions.
Okay, so, just really quick, this week I received an email that Rutgers is doing a Green Infrastructure Champions training program. It's every other Friday between February and May. And I think you only have to do 5 of the sections in order to become certified. So it's something I'm interested in doing. I just want to mention that. I'll send out the email to everyone who's going to do it and what we gain from it. Basically goes over green stormwater infrastructure, where it can be installed, how to recognize sites where it can be installed, and the different types. And then as well, it also goes into the funding and the sustainable tourism certification. So that's it. So to do just the 5 courses, it's about $100 if you want to get all the courses, it's $150. So that's something I'll probably have for myself on the next list, an agenda for next month. And then the other thing was, I'd like to have the budget committee meet soon. So if you're listening out,
I'm going to point those.
Okay.
Later, and we can start right out because we want to get that budget down.
okay, yep. So next week, if there's available,
Sure. Yep, so I got a few updates. Starting with the Water Lake update. The water level update. The 22-inch drawdown continues until December 15th. In accordance with the pilot program and the water level management plan. Our superintendent, Melissa Gaston, has communicated with the Barnum from the fisheries regarding the final reports of the pilot program. We asked about fisheries is working towards finalizing a report for the spring. Hopefully one of the next meetings we'll have covered. Regarding the wheat harvest update, currently we have 2 permanent employees on duty. The seasonal staff has been asked, basically been don't think so. Seasonal staff we brought in if it's necessary. As far as equipment and operations go, all equipment and trucks are on stations at the Franklin Building. The disassembling process of the machines has begun so that we can assess any routine or major repairs needed on the equipment. The small harvester that was out of service will be refurbished as requested by the Hopatcong Commission to operate for summer 2020 along with the rest of them. And the final count of making the list. 14, 15, 25. I don't know if Melissa did mention, her and myself met with the famous adjunct a few weeks back. He works for SCUMA and does all the watershed stuff for this county. He's been working on some plans to do some pilot. One is sort of rehabbing the current in the garden out there. So we want to do that. Not only to improve the runoff water from the park into the lake, but also use it as a sort of educational tool to show people how things work. So there'll be interpretive scientific with it, so people who live on the lake want to come check it out and understand that. Hopefully we'll be building that. Yeah, rain garden, different techniques to do with the runoff.
So there was one existing at the state park that, I have a plan for that from the original.
Yeah, Melissa has those two.
Oh, okay.
One of the things they're going to do is basically like that.
Yeah.
But then we're looking at some additional to where the water runs off.
The latest in the form.
You know, I haven't seen anything. I didn't see an update on the floor.
You might not have seen it, the president's been going at the end of the day.
Okay.
I haven't. It's, so Doug Spee, who's been overseeing the case in the hearing, that during the last month, he conducted regular inspections of the remediated tributaries. The inspections revealed that the stream had continued to remain very clear. As such, he authorized the removal of most of the hay-bale stations and the silt curtains. We met with Weldon on November 26th to discuss surface water discharge from the facility. Weldon expressed an interest in modifying the existing permit and continuing the surface water discharge in light of the quality of effluent. The most recent results were submitted to us on November 20th, and I sent that out to the commission. This request is now under review by the Division of Water Quality. There's the report for the fish survey of the effective scope of Lake Hopatcong conducted on October 10th, has not been finalized.
Did you say they wanted to change their existing permit? With what in mind?
It doesn't.
Did I hear you say that?
It just says that they expressed an interest in modifying their permit and continuing the surface water discharge in light of the quality of effluent. So I think that originally they were, I don't know, so I don't want to.
He's on. There was an update, because we've been monitoring that pretty close, right? Sure. Awesome. Right, that was the Jefferson been watching over there, kind of?
Don't give us anything.
The permit's through Hopatcong, isn't it?
No, it's through, so it would be a discharge.
It is a
surface water
permit.
permit.
They were coming down onto our street up in Jefferson.
I know, I'm just saying the permit.
So I think when the discharge happened, it was a discharge without a permit. So I think they're interested in continuing to discharge now with a permit, since their effluent is clear and under criteria.
The Chickies is a state permit.
Yeah.
With the state permit.
Anything new on the,
I know it's been, I believe you all signed it, right? Forward back to our office, so I'll double check on that.
what about the THC? We have one.
We keep pushing the purchasing commissioner's office, there's
Why do
still
we need
checking on a couple of
to
things.
have this new? This is the meeting that we had that beginning 2 years ago.
That's a good question. You'd ask
You're the chairman, you can call it. Larry Byer called meetings, Terry Kirk, who called meetings? We just did it.
Yeah, perhaps a little more complicated than that. They are my superiors. So
No, but when they were the chairman, Larry Byer was the first chairman of the CAC, he set it up, he oversaw its implementation, called multiple meetings. Then his successor, in your seat here, was Terry Kirk, she did the same things. He called meetings, we met, we discussed, and then you called one meeting. So you're the chairman, I don't see what would be the impediment to your calling another meeting. Because you just mentioned, for example, the pilot program, I don't know what's happening with that, with 26 to 22 inches. I'm curious to follow that because it's supposed to be a pilot program, but we haven't had a normal winter to really judge its effects. Is it beneficial? Is it going to result in damage to docks? I'm kind of holding my breath. And before that becomes ironclad, I'd like the CAC to have a shot at reviewing it and commenting. So, and I do think the CAC is,
and they will. It is coming. We just send out, most of I know, updates from every town, make sure we have the right list. So it is forthcoming.
so is it your position, just so I understand, is it your position that you need approval from a superior to call the CAC meeting as opposed to initiating it yourself?
That has been the process I was told to do. So we're working towards that.
The question is, can anybody on the CAC be the chairman, or does it have to be the state representative?
I have to go back and see. It was supposed to be expounded out of that lawsuit that the marina owners filed about the drawdown many years ago. It was a settlement, a court-ordered settlement, which dictated its membership and its scope of operation.
I think Dan has also mandated an annual meeting
Yes.
to review, and mandated it in the court by a judge.
Yes.
So I have the water level management plan. It says the water level management plan shall be reviewed annually prior to April 1st to determine whether adjustments to the plan are required. Annual review shall include Lake Hopatcong Commission and citizen advisory committee made up of representatives to the following: the Scotland Municipalities, the Alliance, Muscatine County Regional Planning Board, and the Muscatine County Water Service Association. And above that, the commissioner's representative on the Lake Hopatcong Commission is the one who should facilitate annual reviews of the Lake Hopatcong water level management plan, members of the Citizens Advisory Committee, the commission, the division of parks and
He's the DEP's representative in this commission, which Larry Byer was, Terry Kirk, who was, and Josh's original one was 10 Clifton, so it was District 4, when I didn't think.
So I will look at the schedule next time.
If we don't meet, it looks like the public, but if we're there, we can really improve, so we should meet to accomplish. We should meet and exchange some ideas and see if we can get something.
And I don't want to come up as trying to beat a dead horse.
No,
I'm
I-
certainly not targeting you specifically. Please understand that this issue is very important to a lot of people around the lake, and the drawdown is a subject of constant discussion. It's often
So if we're going to
misunderstood.
change anything in the drawdown, it should really start with a recommendation
From this committee.
So we need to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's changing at the moment. We are helping fill with the water leak connection.
And then
My understanding-
we need to figure out where we're going to do those public hearings, so we
Yeah.
can decide on what the new plan for. the
Yeah, my understanding is
drawdown
we're gonna have the CAC.
They're not going to be what they were in the past.
My understanding is we'll have the CAC meeting first and then we'll
Okay.
bring the water leak connection.
Josh, I have another question. What's the status of the sewering of the state park?
So the last I heard, we were speaking with the town on putting the break. I don't know, I know our construction management, but work on that. So there was some communication with the town, trying to get that through the agreement for those. So I'm not quite sure where it's at, I know I sent an email.
Last I heard, there's no hold up.
I'll look at the town.
Mr. Mayor?
That's what I'm sorry.
Yeah, we give them a report, put that in for us. So we let us know where that stays. Not, no hold up in the town, so it's gotta be on the DEP.
Seems to be no action on very important issues.
There's no shovel for that.
So I'll find out, I know we haven't received our money for that budget yet, the capital budget, so maybe that's where I'll hold up, but let me find out.
Okay. Update on that. You get that? You want to deal with that?
Okay, I was absent at last month's meeting, but, I did see an email come through from Todd. You wanted me to send you a copy of the ordinance that I marked up, I took a packet of ordinance and marked up just a few deletions and additions.
Right, yeah, we're close to the final document that they could probably present at the mayor's meeting, next Monday.
Great.
So we should plan on being at the mayor's meeting next Monday then?
What's that?
We should plan on being at the
That'll be up to the chairman.
You're invited to make a presentation.
Okay.
So what was discussed at the last mayor's meeting was, whether or not, I think the Highlands Council had discussed coming, and I think that they postponed that. But he was president. So maybe,
I mean, we'll schedule, at that meeting, we'll schedule the January meeting,
yeah, because also he is supposed to be attending the mayor's meeting, which is something that came up kind of between,
relatively last minute, but it may.
so it just might be a lot going on for that meeting. There also include that information. So I don't know if someone can rock until January.
Eric probably can speak to this. It seems like often we have like a 1 hour window to get everything before people have to go to their other meetings. So I don't know if there's going to be a deeper to get that. So I guess the point would be you don't rush to get it done for Monday because it might not end up being discussed because of the.
I mean, I think we're pretty far along in it.
We'll have it ready for our.
Okay.
Yeah, whenever we can go, just send us an email.
And then maybe they want to tweak it.
Yeah.
You know, they have to.
We come up at the last.
Yeah, I sent an update to the committee about the whole discussion.
No, see. All right, let me go on to, so Colleen and I met, and we took in your volunteering on various committees. We have to keep in mind that we cannot have a quorum on any committee, so we limited, try to limit it to 4. And if you get this, if there's any committees that you still want to serve on that you're not appointed to, let me know. And if, again, we don't get into the danger of the quorum thing, I don't have any problem with 5 on there. You can't have 6. 11, but you can't have it. So this is what it is at this point. Anybody have any objections, suggestions? Okay, so Dr. Fred, next week you're going to give us a budget.
Yes, with Chairman Crowley.
Thank you.
Oh, that's fine, I'm sorry. I'm talking about budget, yes, we're going to next week, sorry. I did the wrong way. Yes, we'll have the budget.
Thank you. Okay, again, anybody wants to serve in any of the other committees, let me know, just gotta watch the numbers. Next item is,
When you worry about the number of people, does that count the alternate?
it counts the number of people, because if 6 people made a decision, you come back to a report and found, they're over and above the way they did in the committee, they're going to
I don't think it counts the alternate.
The alternate,
What I'm asking is, does
the
an
alternate has to
count?
vote. The alternate has to vote, because there are some members that didn't volunteer for anything. So I'm using alternates too to give them their part of the direction, but they can certainly be on a committee, whether or not they get the vote, whether they're.
We have an alternate Rockford, we can push that too. So,
Good. You know, just take a look, you can see what's here, just make sure we don't go anywhere, so we're that sick.
I thought I can't have more than 5, including alternate members.
Including anybody, alternate and or regular members. 5 is the limit.
According to the bylaws, we can have some volunteers from the community. who are-
They don't vote here, so it's okay, they don't bind the board.
members.
You can't get the committee to bind the board. So, any public wants to volunteer, if they're non-voting member, just contact Colleen and we'll. We got the meeting date for the next year, 2020. Yeah, 2020.
One change to that, I checked with the foundation for whether this room will be available, so, if we can move December 14th, 2020 to moving it to December 7th.
September 7th?
December 14th.
7th, yeah, okay.
And change that to December 7th. So if those dates work for everyone, we'll vote on this, in January meeting.
Of course, 7th. Okay, and motion to approve this meeting schedule?
It's supposed to be done at the January meeting, but I think it's
Do the
Should
January
this, be resolved, the last one say, 2021? The very bottom one?
Yeah, because January 21, you'll have the organization meeting for the next.
Yes. I guess just change 2020 to 2021, right?
Oh, that, yeah.
That's for next year.
Yeah.
Right at the bottom?
Well, no, because the meeting dates are on the calendar here, not fiscal year. Correct?
January 11th, 21 is the last day.
I see, yeah, we're talking about the next year.
Okay, well, yeah, that'll be an agenda item for the January board meeting, right? Okay. Okay, we have an accounting and auditing up for commissioners, the governor's initiative, which we kind of discussed a little bit.
County order? Colleen tidied up the bookkeeping, and I reviewed it, and everything looks good. So, if the finance committee sees fit to recommend the same auditor as last year, we can request an engagement letter from them and schedule an audit.
Get another letter, complaint letter from him. Drafted the budget, so Greg, we're gonna take care of that. Is that the meeting dates? I went out of order, sorry about that. Okay, open the meeting to the public, anybody want to speak?
You want an update for that one?
Action.
Yes.
If you want to update, we'll get it on.
Oh,
Turn in. Okay.
speak up.
He's shy.
I doubt it. I gotta stop being so shy. So there's a lot of moving pieces that, we did send our letter of support into the study for the EPA. Along with that, I also have been, in conversation with our Congress people. I do have a final proposal for Crescent Cove because that's very important, not only the impact on the lake. We will establish that model. It consists of 28 aeration diffusers and a treatment with biological treatment for the manual treatment for the cyanobacteria with the analysis. It's done by Everglades Lake. They have a track record of success, not only with seeds, but also along the Great in the the Great Lakes region. I did do a lot of work with what they call a Philippi aerator. It's a dismal failure. It's been installed in the lake for a couple $1 million. They just took it out. It didn't work. It goes back to aeration and biological treatment. That's where we're at. We did spur a little bit of that with the DEP when I was down there in September. DEP was very hesitant to give me a pesticide permit for that. Because they, quite frankly, didn't understand it. Their biologists finally did. Yeah, but this is proven methodology. It's not working. We're not working in vacuum. This stuff works. We have working models where with the aeration. The combination of aeration and bacterial treatment and aeration only. Aeration only is very slow. But we have to put this into perspective. You know, we have a lot of long-term stuff going on, which is very important. Stream restoration, the management of the nutrients get into it. That's all very important. But what we can't miss is our lake is set. It's an issue in the water. And so all this other stuff, and by the way, I've proposed a sewer line extension on Hudson Avenue that will replace approximately 50 septic. So we're actually we have a bi-weekly meeting with the DEP about that. We're talking about some funding. We got to a piece of the funding with the DEP that I think needs to be expanded a little bit. So I have a letter on the governor's desk asking for more help. So he said out loud, he supports taking septic offline. And so our sewer line extension, which is not a sewer line project, but a sewer line extension, every septic owner pays an assessment to put that in. The utility doesn't pay for it. It's the new user that pays for it. But the legacy sewer utility is already paid there, so we can't add that on to it. So what I'm trying, my goal is to bring that cost down as much as possible to help the state. So I've asked for a 90% loan forgiveness, and we'll see where that goes. And if the governor's sure, you've already said you'll entertain a number somewhere around it. Because remember, a shoreline extension is not just for the utilities, it's for the health of the lake. Otherwise, I wouldn't even entertain it. Be well enough alone. But in our case, we really need to stop that. And all, by the way, all the septic credit over lakefront. There's no septic on the street, and they're all small lots. So that's a work in progress. I did, the governor does have my proposal on his desk. The new proposal, the present proposal, is about $150,000 for the total cost, where that includes capital equipment, then every year there's an annual cost of electricity. I don't have a problem with that. But that's going on. And so we have to put this all together and continue supporting what we're doing on a really, really long term. You know, with stream restoration and addressing issues with the quarry and all that. That's really long term, and that's our sewers actually. But the actual treatment of the lake is very, very important. And I also gave the EPA also has a copy of that. So although we're talking about all that stuff with our proposal for that, they have a specific with some performance paragraphs in it. We have a specific plan to address the immediate issues in the springtime. And so there's a whole lot of stuff going on, and we all have to work toward that, because there's so many moving pieces. When you break it all down, it's just not like, well, here's the answer. It's not that. I wish it was that simple, but it's not. So the really, really long-term stuff is stream restoration and all the runoff stuff that we have to do with making sure we take care of the category prices as one issue. But that being said, when we get all that done, if we got all that done, if we have a magic wand and did that all today, it wouldn't help our lake in spring. Because what we have is already there. And we damn well better start treating it with methodology. And New Jersey is a little bit behind. They are. Stop using herbicides. We dump herbicides in our lake, really. In 3 years, the lake has given out hundreds of permits. And 23 different chemicals, about 5 of them have this glyphosate in it. But we need to stop doing that. We really do. Killing the weeds, the dropping at the bottom, the decaying, consuming oxygen, nothing else is living but the cyanobacteria. The cyanobacteria love that. They love that. The zooplankton and other bacteria, they got it, along with the fish. So, we have 800 acres of the lake.
After 20 feet, there's no option. So we have to address that. And again, there's long-term or short-term. Short-term, which is aerated. You know, my proposal for Crescent Cove is 28 aeration stations for the cove. And so that will completely, if we can do Crescent Cove, that's the worst of all the lakes, historically. And it's 90 acres of it's a really sick pond. If we can, next year, if we can make that test clean and pass all the tests, then we can take a look at the rest of our coves in the lake, and we'll have models that we can base some performance on. And so I'll stick my neck out and say, we really need to do that. You'll hear me say that, say that, and say that. It's critical. Our businesses cannot afford another year like last year. If we have another year like last year, they're going to be closing their doors. That's the marina, the Lake San Marino, where we took Mikey Sherrill. I know people whose kids were working there. When we got into the summer, told the kids, well, we don't have any work for you. So it not only affects the business owner, but it affects the job. A little bit. So I won't go on and on, but I continue, and we will continue to work hard for our lake, and we don't give up too easy. And I had one more comment on the government meeting. I was really disappointed not to see Commissioner there. The governor and the
She was
commissioner.
out of state.
Okay, he wasn't here.
I think she was out of the country, actually.
That's okay. He wasn't here. So I can't put her here no matter where she was. So everybody knew the time of it. They knew the schedule is for months. This was not like the night before. And so we're gonna keep working on that. We need to really get her attention to support us as we move forward. But we cannot do this without the support. And I really appreciate the government coming here. I do. So we'll keep doing that. The mayors are in lockstep on it. And so when you see it starting there and it comes to the commission and the foundation, the state and the federal can see that we're serious about our lake. So I'll keep you posted on anything else.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public meeting. Any other action items?
Move we adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We don't second.
Second. Thank you, everybody.